Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter. Of course, you can subscribe to the channel. Let's talk boxing. Let's talk about TEOFIMO Lopez against Campa. What a display. What a performance, offensively speaking. There are a couple of things defensively that he still needs to work on. And in this division, they could become a very serious issue if he doesn't address them. We'll get to that later on in the video. But from an offensive perspective, you know, I tweeted that to me in some regards, he reminds me of a prime Adrian Broner, but with the addition of a couple of extra skills that Broner didn't have. Broner was fantastic at being able to have these little shimmies, these little rolls, and come back with very powerful, varied, short punches that had a lot of power on them, and they'd be sharp and crisp. And while you're the one who's being offensive, you're getting caught with big shots. That's what TEOFIMO Lopez can be very, very good at, with the added caveat of him being more varied with his attacking shots, so they won't always come through as a straight sort of shot. And if he is going to throw a hook, sometimes Broner would be a bit slapping with it. TEOFIMO Lopez has power on those hooks, and he'll plant it just behind your ear, which will not only have a bigger impact, it will also sometimes, if you try to just move slightly and it catches you right on the back of the ear, it can lean you forward, so it can affect your balance too. Additionally to that though, the other things that he has that Broner did not have, and we're talking about a prime Adrian Broner, the one that people were saying was going to take over from Floyd and be the new pound for pound king. And for long-time subscribers, you'll know that I said that Broner was a superb talent, but was being slightly overrated. That doesn't mean he wasn't quality, but he was being overrated. Well, TEOFIMO Lopez, in addition to what Broner had, also has fantastic feet. Broner had this wide stance and it made him a little bit immobile. You saw the fluidity of movement today from TEOFIMO Lopez. He was doing some Lomachenko type stuff at times. He was doing some Emmanuel Augustus type upper body movement stuff too. I mean, he looked sensational in terms of his mobility. But for me, where he was at his absolute best was actually when he was not in the pocket and showing those little movements, but getting on the back foot and moving around the ring, luring Campa in, making him fall short, and then countering him with beautiful punches. That's something that Broner didn't really have to his game. Additionally to that, another thing that Broner didn't have, he would get a little bit gun shy. When you would start to throw incessant punches at him, pressure, hard shots, he would cover up, and if he wasn't going to roll and come back with a counter, he would wait for you to finish. If you were throwing a combination, once you're finished, he would explode into life. So he wasn't really punching with you. So when you were letting go of combinations, up until the point you finished, you were actually quite safe. So if you were able to let go of your combinations and then exit the pocket at an angle, something Mikey Garcia did very well against him, and Mikey was accurate too, albeit that wasn't a prime Broner, it would cause Broner a lot of problems. You don't get that luxury with TEOFIMO Lopez, because as you're letting go of flurries of punches, he'll punch with you. And they're powerful, varied punches. There's so much there for his offensive arsenal when he started to add this leaping lead left shovel hook to the body today, come uppercut to the body, which was devastating at times. And Chris Algieri did a great job on comms tonight. I'm not always complimentary about all commentators. When they do a good job, I'm always going to call him out. And he did a great job on three particular things that he picked up on. And the first thing he picked up on is the fact that TEOFIMO Lopez, pretty basic, pretty simple, was at his best when he was letting go of that laser-like jab. Okay, that's when the work was coming off of that. That's when he was dictating the play. That's when he looked good. For me personally, I would combine that with the fact that he was on the back foot doing it, rather than leading with the lead jab, although he was very good with it. For me, when he was jabbing and stepping backwards and making Campa come forward and fall short, that's when TEOFIMO looked great. The other thing that Chris Algieri pointed out was that TEOFIMO Lopez was going to the body a lot more. Now, in the past, he's been somewhat of a headhunter, and today you saw that little shovel hook come uppercut to the body. Really lovely shot, and he was targeting the body of Campa a lot more. He could have done it a lot more than he actually was doing it, but it was still a lot more than he usually does it. So you're starting to see him alter a little bit his style, which is going to be important at this higher weight category, because you're not just going to blow up everybody else with headshots like you saw today. The third thing, and this is what I liked best about the comments that he made, is that TEOFIMO Lopez was willingly backing up onto the ropes. This is something I've been critical of Josh Kelly for. He'll show an awful lot of fantastic movement, Josh Kelly, he's in the center of the ring. A lot of upper body movement, lovely jab as well. Then he gets up to the ropes, and when he's up on the ropes, he then relies on upper body movement. This is what we started to see at points from TEOFIMO Lopez. This has to stop. Now, they do it in a different manner, whereas what Josh Kelly bend forward. And it's a consistent movement that he does, and it becomes predictable. So what can start to happen against Josh Kelly is once you start to read that, you can feint your way in. You know he's going to dip when he's in that situation. And then you can throw a shovel left uppercut or a straight uppercut, and then a right hand chopping downwards to the back of the ear. That combination can cause Josh Kelly an awful lot of problems. With Teofimo Lopez, he does change the levels, but he tends to prefer to rotate more than go up and down. Now that's fine, because offensively speaking, he's great, like I said. So if you're going to go in there and you're going to start letting go of shots, because he's willing to punch with you, like we said, he can punish you while you're doing it. But the movement's a little bit predictable. He's always rolling in quite a consistent pattern. And one of the problems that he has is that he doesn't lean back as much to create that maximum distance. So he'll change the angle by rolling, but he won't shift back, lean back in order to change the distance while you're throwing combinations. Broner wasn't always great at that either. Mayweather was, and that was a key difference. And Mayweather would often throw a forearm up in the air at your sort of chin level and lean back with this, you know, keep that long reach out and lean all the way back with his very agile lower back. So now you've got a forearm to try and contend with. You're having to come through the forearm to get to him, and you've got sort of an elbow sort of in your face, like a barrier, I guess, and then he's leaning so far back away from you can't quite reach him. At times he would then switch that up, and when he'd lean back and you're trying to overcommit, he would shift forward, some of that catch rule to Josh Taylor, shift forward with that shoulder and then lift to come underneath you to smother you. And that is very difficult to deal with when you're trying to read that pattern. Okay, I've got him up on the ropes. Now what am I going to do? Do I fly in? Do I maintain range? Do I try and, you know, what do I do? That can give you problems. Teofimo Lopez doesn't give you that thing to think about. You know he's pretty much going to stay on the ropes and he's going to start to roll and look to counter you. And because he's going to look to roll, he can be susceptible to combinations if you vary them up. Instead of going 1-2, 1-2, let's say you were to lead with a left hook and then throw a second left hook and then a right hand or a right uppercut, a different sort of combination which he's not used to seeing, you can catch Teo in the pocket. So he either needs to get out instantly, which at points he did rotate behind the shoulder and get away, or he needs to vary up the patterns of defense when he's moved back onto the ropes. That aside, I thought it was a terrific performance. I thought he looked excellent. And yeah, I think he sent a message out to a lot of the top fighters in the 140-pound division. But if he doesn't sort that out and he stays in the pocket and he's just looking to roll like that and counter, you can imagine a guy like Josh Taylor saying, I'm going to get right up on your chest and I'm going to bully you and I'm going to affect your constructs, I'm going to affect your balance. As you're trying to roll, I'm going to be pushing you so that you can't roll back with a combination. I'm going to get my hand across the face of across the side of your jaw just to stop you. Something Canelo did, for instance, to Caleb Plant. Push you down so you can't escape and follow up with that right hand. Josh Taylor's going to do stuff like that. He's going to maul him. Right, so he's going to have to be a little bit smarter, I guess, with the way he reacts when he's in that defensive position. That side, I thought it was brilliant. Really quickly, let's talk about Xander Zayas. What a brilliant talent he is, man. For a long time, I've been saying he's one of the best talents in the sport of boxing as far as I'm concerned. Certainly out of the US, or I know Puerto Rico, but certainly out of that part of the world. And, you know, he's got everything he needs to become a superstar. He's 19 years old, so he's still going to develop more man strength. He's very varied in his offensive arsenal. He is the sort of guy, there is a bit of a weakness there at points. He likes to be in that sort of range whereby you're letting go of a shot and he's not really looking to smother your work. He's looking to slip it and come inside, which means if he ever makes an error there, he can get caught. And if he does get caught, they're going to be quite big shots that are catching him. He's always sort of at a zone in an area whereby a guy's fully extending. But he's been so good, generally speaking, at being able to get underneath shots. And when he does slip, for such a tall, rangy guy, he's very good at sort of in a mid-range. And for rangy fighters, 74-inch reach, that's not always the case. And he's got a lovely hook as well, which comes wide, kind of like James DeGale. It's like a difficult hook to read because it's so wide and fast. Just a really talented kid. Good-looking kid, nice kid in terms of personality, and Puerto Rico are starved of a new superstar, right? They need a new Miguel Cotto. So when you start to take all that into account, and he's got Top Rank behind him, you can start to see that this kid's going to be something very special one day and one of the stars of the sport, I would imagine. Let me know what you think, ladies and gents, about everything we've spoken about. Where do you think Teofimo Lopez goes from here in terms of, firstly, the 140 division in terms of who's currently at 140, but also the guys that are at 135 that are talking about stepping up, right? Devin Haney, you know, struggling a little bit at the weight. That's been the talk for a while now. If he does go up to 140 after the rematch with Kambosos, Ryan Garcia's talking about going up to 140. You know, those sorts of guys. Tank Davis has operated there in the past. These lightweights that are looking to step up, how do you think Teofimo Lopez copes against them? Thanks for watching, everyone. Chat to you soon. Take care. God bless.